Welcome to homework.
23.34. This isn't a problem so much as sort of a hands-on activity you are supposed to do, but we'll still talk about it. So if you take two different metals and place them into some sort of conducting solution, you can make an electric cell, and several electric cells put together in series make a battery. Things like AA batteries are technically cells and not batteries, but the terminology is sort of, people don't use it very precisely. So one example that we're told about is if you take a container with some salt water in it, you can place a strip of copper and a strip of zinc into it, and this should produce a voltage of 1.5 volts. You can order strips of zinc for exactly this type of thing online, or you could try using a piece of galvanized steel, which you can get in various, things made out of galvanized steel at a hardware store. It might be a little bit easier. Galvanized steel is just steel that's had a layer of zinc deposited on it. They make things like nails and sheet metal and stuff out of galvanized steel, so you could find something suitable. And we're told that the size of the plates doesn't determine the voltage, which is true. However, it will contribute to how much current the cell can provide before the voltage starts to drop. And so that's something I think you should try and experiment if you try this, using different sizes of strips of copper and zinc or galvanized steel. You can take a multimeter or something and measure the current that this will produce. I'm fairly certain that you can get away with just directly connecting it to measure current, because it's not going to be a whole lot that it can produce, I think. Is this an ammeter here? It may be a bit safer of an idea to take a small light bulb or something, or a resistor or what have you, and put it in here, and then you can see how bright the light bulb can get, depending on the size of your electrodes. Because if you're trying to draw more current through from a battery than it really wants to be providing, the voltage that it produces is actually going to drop. So that could be another thing you could measure. You can take a voltmeter, and if you have a multimeter of some sort, you can switch it between being able to measure amps and volts. And so you might not have both of these in the circuit at the same time, but you can play around with this, and you could try different solutions in here and so forth. And then you can do the same sorts of things with a citrus cell, where here we're instructed to use a paper clip and a piece of copper wire. And it actually instructs you to take the paper clip and the piece of copper wire and touch them to your tongue close together, and you can get a little bit of a tingle. I don't think that this is going to produce enough current to cause any serious injuries to you. So this is reasonably safe to try, and is, you can demonstrate to yourself quite directly that this actually is producing a voltage. And you can do the same sort of things here with taking a voltmeter and measuring the voltage that's produced, and you can convince yourself it doesn't depend on the size of the electrodes. But then you could try putting larger, uh, maybe multiple paper clips or something, and connecting them all together. And similarly with pieces of copper wire, and do that. And you can look at how the voltage isn't going to change, but the amount of current might increase as you increase the surface area that's involved in the electrochemical reactions going on.